Hi, welcome to High Road to You. This is Mark Stouffer, and I'm in Los Gatos right now, and this is a notice of development proposal by the town of Los Gatos, and that's a pretty amazing illustration right there. And the reason it's important, I want to share with you what it takes to really get into that zone, that flow state, no matter where you're at in your life and how bad things might seem. I'm going to tell you this right here, that's Bascom up there, and there was a bar called the Double Vision. That's where my mom and her best friend, hung out basically all day. And this was all orchard. I'm not sure if you can see the orchards back there behind the house, but everything was orchard. This was, Silicon Valley basically. And this is 85 right there, and that was not there. That was all orchard behind that wall. And it was a wild, crazy experience. We got in a lot of trouble. We were feral kids running around, but this right here at 16 was my first job. And the reason I want to bring this up to you is that there's a lot of youth right now that have anxiety and depression, and they really don't know what to do. And I'm proposing that if they learn a skill, a trade specifically, the trades right now are desperate for skilled labor, and that means electrical, plumbing, equipment operation, landscape construction. There's just so much potential here. I asked the owner before she sold it to, I guess, the city, that if I could buy this facility, add it to my portfolio. But I do want to say this, is that when I was 16 and I started here, this house right here was empty. The Woodbray family, they were going through a divorce, and the two sons that were supposed to be running this, commercial kennel here that was always full at that time, would take the grooming scissors and jimmy the register, steal money, and then head off down the road to Cambrian Plaza and play, pinball and arcades and bowl and just hang out all day. And they left me to kind of tend to the pets that were daycare and boarding. And so I learned firsthand, that with the kennel, my job was take them out of a crate and put them in a run, and then take the ones out of the run and put them in a crate and transfer them all day and make sure they had food and water. And what I ended up doing was letting them out. And I think I was the originator of cage-free boarding. Now I buy facilities and I take kennel out of the name, and this would not be Woodbray Kennels, but it'd be Woodbray Pet Resort, or another name. But I try to keep the name because it's kind of nostalgic in communities and whatnot. And so just part of the marketing that I try to incorporate into, buying and acquiring the facility. So, with that, what I'm trying to convey is that there's a lot of, loneliness, anxiety, depression, and there's over 7 million, 8 million men in their prime not working right now. And I'm proposing that they are desperately needed, specifically in the trades. I'm in California now, and I know in Nevada, it's the demand is much higher. And I would say that that's what got me out of my trouble. I went to a trade school. I learned a trade, and I didn't count the minutes. I didn't count the hours. I worked 32 hours straight walking into my first house, okay? And I worked with my youngest son over 30 hours because a landscape contractor said I can install that artificial grass after we, finished the water feature. And he said, but you're not ready. And I said, no, we'll be ready. The job is the boss. We had weather, we had material, and we had the equipment to get the job done. So we stayed up until the job was done. And the contractor came back out and was surprised that we were ready for him to come in with his crew. So, finding yourself in that zone is critical in life. It snaps you out of that box that you might be in that is holding you hostage, right? That flat screen that you might spend, I understand, 2,000 hours annually. People that are not working are spending so much time on the screen. Well, I'd say put the screen away. This device that we're looking at right now, this device in your pocket is the screen. And that is what is the problem, very likely. So what I would propose is to enter into a trade, learn a vocation, and enjoy that journey, and get out there and be part of something. Work with a team of people that are tearing this thing down and building out that amazing illustrated, development that you just saw a minute ago. So that is my strongest advice, and that was my journey, and I know it will work for most people that are watching this video. And so if you know anybody that is in that state, in that box, and they need to be pulled out, I hope this story will inspire you or them or anybody, and give you the courage and the inspiration to take the actions that you need to take And with that, I wish you well. Thank you for watching High Road to content, and this is where you take action. Nothing happens without action. Please share your story on how you incorporated nutrition, physical and social activity, how you incorporated accountability in your life, how you didn't ignore, you didn't deny, you didn't blame, but you pivoted through a difficult challenge in your life. And how did you build that foundation to overcome and thrive? And I hope this content allows you to enjoy the journey of that, right? That would be the biggest blessing for me. Share your story, share your milestones, encourage and inspire others. And with that, I wish you well.